Long ago, two races ruled over Earth, humans and monsters. One day, war broke out between the two races. After a long battle, the humans were victorious. They sealed the monsters underground with a magic spell. Many years later, Mount Ebott, 21X. Legends say that those who climb the mountain never return. Hello Internet, and welcome to the Phoenix Cam channel. Today I'd like to talk about my favorite indie game. Why? Because this game exceeded my expectations when I first played it. It's definitely a game that's more than what meets the eye. You can play it multiple times and have different gameplay experiences. Also, the music, it's just fantastic. Listen to it. Isn't that just fantastic? In this video, I'd like to talk about four main things. How this game gives players their agency, the different choices it gives, the conflicts in the game, and how this game, yet so simple, can transcend. Let's start with our first choice of the game. You get this one right off the bat. You meet a cute little flower named Flowey. He teaches you some very important things about the underground. Flowey tells you about these stats at the bottom. He tells you that this heart you're moving, that's your soul. And the LV, that's love. So, why shouldn't he give it to you? The player is then given the choice to grab these. Because of how the game was designed, the player gets a hollow choice, and they suffer the consequences for something they knew nothing about. To define the hollow choice, it's where a player choice has almost no consequence on the rest of the player experience. And you'll see exactly why in just one second. This always happens. It doesn't matter what choice the player makes, whether they choose to avoid those or they run into them. Toriel right here, she will always kill Flowey. Later on in the story, Toriel tells the player that instead of fighting, you can act. You can strike up a conversation. This gives the player a new choice type. This choice type being the immediate choice. It provides the players with instant feedback for their actions. Not only does this create a new choice type, it creates a moral dilemma, a moral conflict for the player. Our next conflict is a conflict for story. Later on in the game, you're given the choice. Do you leave Toriel's house, or do you stay with her? To keep playing the game, you have to choose to leave. And to do that, you must fight. The choice type given here is the informed choice. The player has been given the opportunity to learn a bit more about how the choices differ and how it might affect the trajectory of the game. Using the fight mechanics brought to you earlier, the player is given the choice to either fight or to spare. And since this player has grown so fond of this character, they usually choose to spare. Unless they're a heartless monster. The player has chosen the path to spare Toriel, and thus she lives. But the player, they still go through the door to continue the game. The player doesn't know it yet, but they were just given the long-term choice. There is a form of delay in the feedback of this choice. This is very important to the story of this game. Good old Sans, one of the most important characters of this entire game. He may seem like a comic relief character, but there's a lot more under that skull. Now we reveal our next conflict, the conflict between characters. These two are brothers. One wants to capture humans and the other doesn't care. Papyrus, this tall one, he's getting mad at Sans, because he's not taking this seriously. Dialogue is one way that Undertale guides its players through its narrative. Later on in the story, we get back to that long-term choice we were given. With Toriel. Sans, he takes Frisk to a diner. Sans tells Frisk a story. Sans tells Frisk that one day he met Toriel. They used to tell knock-knock jokes behind the door. And then one day, she asked him to make a promise. Promise to protect Frisk at all costs, because she loved them so much. So your long-term choice is what made it so you don't have to fight Sans. Because trust me, you don't want to fight Sans. This brings me to my last point of the video. How does Undertale transcend? Undertale transcends because the characters know they're in a game. How do they know? They know when they're being reset. Flowey and Sans are the two biggest examples of this. Sans can control his entire fight. He can change the screen bounds. He can kill you when you're not even attacking. He also makes different remarks based on how many times you've died. To wrap this video up, Undertale is the best indie game of all time for 4 main reasons. It gives the player the ability to make important, meaningful choices with different choice types. It also creates a multitude of conflict for players to experience, whether emotional or through their story, and it creates a level of transcendence with characters knowing they are in a game and remembering the player's past actions and past playthrough. Thank you for watching. This is Phoenix Cam, signing out.